What kind of sauce would you like with your nuggets, honey? So we always used to say that to each other in high school. I knew it right away. I was like, oh, watch what I'm about to do. When I started uploading pick videos, I started growing immediately.
Were you clearing way over $100 a week from the channel
Oh,
so far?
no.
So you're taking a hit.
I'm still doing that years later. I still drive the same Honda Accord I had in 2019.
Strike that from the record. You can't use that now. Like, that's awesome.
I don't regret a single thing. I don't regret having felony convictions. I don't regret any of it because that created the person I am today.
All right, guys, before we jump into today's episode of the Singleton Show, I wanted to give a big shout out, the biggest shout out, to Kyle Kirms, the sauce, for hopping on the episode and talking a bunch of things with me, really. We dug into his past, which is really, really interesting to learn some of these things about him. Huge credit to him for getting out of what he was in and getting to where he is today, a titan in this industry. We also talked about some other things, the industry as a whole, some future ideas of the Sauce Network, as well as just some fun, cool YouTube show ideas that me and him kind of went back and forth on. Kyle's channel link will be in the description. A big thank you to him for coming on. If you haven't checked him out yet, I don't know what you're waiting for. He makes amazing sports content on the daily. Go tune into his live streams. One last thing before we jump into the episode, I wanted to give a shout out to Fade Me, the merch brand we have here on the channel. We just launched the Gambler 2.0 collection, one of our coolest and best quality launches to date. We have 2 tees. I'm wearing the embroidered one right now, a hat, and a hoodie. The hoodie may be the best product we've ever put out. Go check it out, guys. FadeMe.store. If you want to continue to support me, support us and what we're doing, pick up some merch. And hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. Let's jump into this episode. Me and Kyle have a really, really cool talk. Hope you guys do enjoy.
All right, we are now bringing on a face that I'm sure, or you should at least, many of you guys know. We got the sauce, Kyle Kirms. Kyle, you got just under 85K on YouTube, which is impressive as all hell. You do daily live streams, videos, mainly in the sports betting arena. And honestly, if anyone's watching, if you like anything that I do, I'm sure that they would love what you do and what you create every day. Thanks for coming on the show. It's kind of and it's Incubus. This is episode number 2, so I appreciate you taking your throttle over here, but I appreciate you coming on. How you doing?
Things are great, man. Just grinding out videos. You're familiar with it.
Yeah, and I know you're busy as you do. Now it's like all one stream, right? But essentially 3 to 4. You got NHL, NBA.
It's 3 to 5, really.
3 to 5, geez.
Eastern time, it's 4 to 5:30 something. It depends on how many sports are on that particular day.
That's that's what I mean. How many sports you're doing? 3 to 5, essentially, not time wise.
Yes, yes.
That is absolutely crazy, and we'll get to it. But I know, like when I originally DM'd you, and we've been texting about like doing this for a while now. You were like, I have a crazy story. And I was like, everyone thinks they have a crazy story. And then you started telling me little tidbits. You sent me a news clip. We'll talk about that, I guess, in a little bit. I mean, we could jump right into it if we think that's better. You texted me, you're like, essentially, like, I should be dead. Yeah,
I mean, probably should. But, I struggled with addiction for most of my 20s and in and out of jail a bunch of times. Actually, someone went and found one of my mugshots, and like, you know, when on the mugshot you're holding the thing that says your name, they have photoshopped "I suck at picking" on it, and it's like a picture. It was hilarious. I'll go find that and send it to you so you can put it in the edit right there.
Do it,
it's funny. I was in and out of jail, struggled with opiate addiction, mainly because I just didn't know what I wanted to do with my life, and I knew that I was a smart dude, and I was very capable of doing something great. I just couldn't figure out what I wanted to do. And then in the halfway house this last time, where I was kind of like, my family had like distanced themselves from me, where I was really like at rock bottom in life, pretty much. I'd been homeless a couple times, and in this halfway house, I don't know what, I was watching this commercial, and I remember thinking like, man, that would have been so much better if they put the speaker up front. And I was like, what if I try video editing?
Did you know anything about it then, or was that sort of the first, like, you just thought that visually, in a sense?
No, I knew how to use Photoshop.
Okay.
So I knew how to use, like, just very basic stuff in Photoshop. But I picked it up really quickly, and I got really into it. And I knew immediately that it was what I wanted to do with my life, because I could tell right away I was good at it. Mm-hmm. And so I guess like the short version, so what I was doing is I was waiting tables at Applebee's, living in a halfway house with like 9 or 10 other dudes. And I would email, every free hour I had was spent looking at tutorials on how to learn how to do this effect and do this transition, and I was just learning more and more. And whenever I had free time, I would just send constant emails, like, without exaggerating, 25 to 50 emails a day to production companies in New York City. Just be like, yo, this is, and I was very honest. I was like, I have 2 felony convictions, really passionate about video editing. I'm still learning, but any opportunity you could give me.
And this is, sorry, not to interrupt you, this is in the New Jersey area. That's where you're from now. And how?
Yeah, I was in a halfway house in Keensburg, New Jersey, and anyone from the area just heard that as like, oh, like it's an ugly spot.
Really?
Yeah, and so I was emailing, and then finally, after like months and months, a guy named Mark Spark responded. It was like, you've emailed me 6 times. Like, I could give you some assistant editor gig. It was on Caribbean's Next Top Model Season 3, part of like Tyra Banks franchise, you know?
Oh, wow.
And so he gave me shot. I mean, it paid nothing. I don't even remember what it paid. I think I worked for a month and made like $600 or something. Like, it paid nothing, but it was an opportunity. It got my foot in the door. And I was the hardest working person in that studio because everyone else like had a different path to get there. For me, like, I was so grateful to be in the studio, you know, like meeting people. So I would stay there. Like, they didn't really let me, but I slept on the couch in there like a couple times.
They didn't really let me.
Yeah, well, I couldn't afford to take the train, so I would
wow.
pretend to be the last one working, and then I would just sleep on the couch with a change of clothes. So like, no one really knew that, but like, they just thought I was the last one there and the first one in the morning because I just didn't want to blow the opportunity. And so basically, fast forward, I worked in reality TV. I worked so hard that people gave me a lot of chances because they're like, dude, if you want someone that's going to bust your ass, trust me, this is the guy. And eventually, after a while, I knew I wanted to produce my own stuff. Because as the editor, you're very limited on what you're able to do. They give you the footage and the script, and you're like, make this. And I thought I was pretty creative, so I wanted a chance to do it myself. So what I did was, actually, I started uploading sports videos as resume pieces to send to ESPN and Fox Sports. And I was uploading up videos of me talking about sports to use as a resume. Like, hey, I made these videos. But then people started subscribing, and the rest is kind of history from there.
So how long ago would that be when you first started uploading YouTube? Because I'm assuming it didn't start just like I started doing Boston sports, and it quickly, you know, especially as sports betting became legalized in other places and whatnot, transitioned into one of my biggest interests, which is sports betting and that type of thing. What did you kind of start as? Was it just more news, like
I was doing like hot take videos,
Okay.
you know, like Stephen A. Smith wannabe type of shit. Sorry for cursing.
Are they still live on the channel?
There's one, there's still one. The first one I did was Drew Brees is overrated.
Okay. Okay.
And it's like comedic, you know, like, but then I did my first picks video, which was Thanksgiving of 2020, I believe. Yeah. So Thanksgiving of 2020, I did a video where I shared my bets for the 3 NFL games on that day, and they got like 400 views, which at the time it was like, holy shit, like people are watching this, you know? And so that's when I discovered there was a market for this, and then I started looking into it, and I was kind of almost blown away by that's the best way to phrase it. So I was looking at the content creators in the space that were currently getting traffic, and I wasn't impressed by it, and that's not to take a shot at them in any way. It was kind of like, wait, these are the people that are getting all the views? Yep. And I didn't realize it at the time, but I guess growing up in New Jersey kind of gave me an advantage because some of the stuff that I considered common sense when it comes to sports betting just like wasn't with these sports bettors nationwide. And so when I started making betting videos, I was like hit the ground running because, I mean, dude, in New Jersey, we've been talking about the point spread since 5th grade. We've been talking about staying under the total. So, like, gambling and sports go synonymous here. Mm-hmm. So, I hit the ground running and already came off as this super experienced gambler, even though I just started making the videos and was just a casual sports bettor at the time. And I never really wanted to be a sharp sports bettor. Mm-hmm. I mean, I still don't. That's not what I'm passionate about. Right. I wanted to have the best sports betting show out. That was my goal. I'm more interested in the media side than being a sharp sports bettor. But it's like when you do something 80 hours a week for 3 years, you get pretty good at it. So I mean, I've gotten pretty good, but you'll never hear me say that. Like, that's not how I market myself as a super sharp sports bettor. the way I market myself is I'll give you the best information presented in a way you can understand to make your own decisions. That's how I try to brand it.
I think that we're aligned. I know we've talked about that before. Like, we're aligned in that same sense of, obviously you do want to be right. You want to be correct. Who doesn't? Forget even sports betting for a second. Like, when people have arguments, they want to be the right one. That's human nature. But I know how, and it fits, like, completely aligns with your backstory and everything. The fact that the production value, and you even said it there, it's like, give you the information in a really nice, good way. Like, I know that sometimes I'm all over the place. I don't have nearly the production value or even the conciseness that you would say you bring to the table. And I don't even know if concise is the right word, because you're giving a lot of information to people, you know what I mean, for free every single day. But I do like the idea, and I think that that's a growing sort of sense of the community, in the sense of, like, everyone understands that no one's forcing anyone to place bet, you know? And more people I see, because obviously, I mean, I have a brand called Fade Me. I can laugh at myself and understand that, like, you know, losses happen. But over the years, more and more people I'm seeing in the comments being like, hey, he didn't tell you to place the bet, or he didn't force you to do this. And, you know, like, think that that's more of a, I don't know if it's because sports betting is becoming more popularized and now, like, your everyday person has access to be able to do it right on their phone. But overall, I do see that kind of as a trend, and hopefully it sticks around, where people understand that this content's free. It's good content. I mean, if it's not good, then, you know, the numbers and subscribers might not be there, but you make good content and you're yourself, I think people start to mess with it, and you know, they truly do, like, kind of, you know, they fuck with it. In terms of you sports betting, though, were you betting? I know you said, like, in elementary school, New Jersey and stuff, like, you guys are talking spreads and all that. Were you betting? Like, when were you starting to get into betting? Or was this
in high school?
Yeah.
Me and my friends all had a bookie in high school. Yeah. But I when I said middle school, I was more referring to, like, we were aware of it. Yeah. Like, we knew what the point spread was and the over-under when we were kids, because I thought everyone knew that. That's kind of the point I was making, is it's so synonymous with gambling. Sports and gambling go hand-in-hand in New Jersey, and now it's being talked about across the country as, like, oh, like, it's this phenomenon, and we're all like, wait, that's not new. That's right. Like, it's always been like that. There's no sports without betting.
Yep, I feel the same way. It's still weird to me to see, like, as playoff games on TV, it's like the live FanDuel line is this. I'm like, wait a second, is that they put that on the TV? Because I'm not used to that even still. Right. But I'm in the same boat, you know, through high school and college. Like, I was always betting, and it even took me a little bit longer to get onto the legalized, like, path too. You know what I mean? I was like, I kind of like what I'm doing. I like the way that it's instant. There's no, like, you know what I mean? And now obviously it's hard to miss there overall. But so that whole, which is your story is crazy. It's not like I think it's going to be crazy to people that don't know that. You know what I mean? I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean,
you've met people that are in the same boat, and I have too. So, you know, it's great that you were able to get out of that and stuff. But I don't think you've talked about this much publicly, that's the crazy part.
No, there's a bunch of things. I won't go through them all, but there's a bunch of things that are just like, all right, so in Caribbean's Next Top Model Season 4, they named me lead editor. I won a TV award in the Caribbean, some little, like, television award, but I couldn't go to Turks and Caicos to accept it because I was on probation. So the producer had to go accept it for me.
Really?
Like, probably the first person ever to win a television award and not be able to accept it. I mean, it was some little award. It wasn't anything big.
It's your first like, real gig, and then you get lead editor, you win it.
Damn, you know what? It's upstairs. I have it. It's a plaque, and I legally couldn't leave the country to go get it.
That's so that's the one that, you know, well, you're not getting paid too much and whatnot, but it had to be more than you had been making at, like, or I guess prior to even Applebee's.
Well, I mean, it wasn't when, like, a year in, when they named me lead editor of Caribbean's Next Model Top Model Season 4, then I started making a little money. Yeah. But as a whole, it was really low budget, and I mean, there was a lot of cases where I was like waiting tables at Applebee's, for example, for a while. And I would take the train home to wait tables, stop at my halfway house, get like 3 outfits, and go back up and just stay up there. Really not having up. Now, also, the producer got wind of what I was doing, and he would let me crash on his air mattress. Like, I would wake up, him and his wife, like, eating breakfast, because I was busting my ass. He knew he wasn't paying me that much, so, like, he was trying to help. But as a whole, I was just doing whatever I could. I knew right away that video editing was what I wanted to do with my life, and I was not going to let that opportunity go to waste. Like, I would have lived up there homeless to get it done. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's such a like a. Do you think that and it's probably a layup question, but like that sort of grind. Look at what you're doing now. Like I know that I put out a lot of content. You put out, I would say, probably more. You're working nights. You're doing all that. Like, do you think if that didn't happen to you, that sort of struggle, right? Would you have the same sort of mentality now? You might still be doing videos. You knew you liked that. You knew, obviously you took a liking to sports betting and you can create a good video, but sort of the like you've added WNBA into your streams now. You did NHL both for the first time in the last month or so. It's like this sort of more. That has to have some sort of like tie to it. Or if you
absolutely. And yeah, I don't regret a single thing. I don't regret having felony convictions. I don't regret any of it because that created the person I am today, which is, and most importantly, a person that I admire, which was not the case 8-9 years ago. I was such a lazy piece of, like, even take out when I was really struggling with drugs.
Yeah.
Even the times where I was clean or wasn't, I was lazy, unmotivated. So that, what I went through created the monster I am today. And when I say monster, I don't mean that in a conceited way. I work really hard.
Yeah.
And I think anyone who knows me would co-sign that.
I agree. I think that's a fair way to put it. So if we jump forward, so how many years of videos, or was it videos, before Kyle Kirms starts or, goes by The Sauce, but then starts The Sauce Network? Like, what happened in between there? Was it always The Sauce?
It happened so fast. I mean, when I started uploading pick videos, I started growing immediately. Like, immediately.
Yep.
I uploaded the one on Thanksgiving, then I uploaded the next one the following Football Sunday, and I was like, I found it. I'm about to take this market. Speaking arrogantly, but I knew it right away. I was like, watch what I'm about to do.
So that's at that time. Were you like, even in those videos? Was it The Sauce, the name, or was it Kyle Kirms?
No, it was. I called it medium well first.
Okay. So where's the sauce? Where's the sauce?
So I needed you know what? I might have been The Sauce at that point. It was medium well in the very beginning. So the lunch lady in our high school, when you went up and ordered your food, she would ask you what kind of sauce you wanted. And she was this like old lady that smoked, and what kind of sauce would you like with your nuggets, honey? So we always used to say that to each other in high school. Like, "Do you get the sauce?" So I almost made it that like sarcastically to make my friends laugh. Like, guys, look, I'm making YouTube videos and I'm calling myself The Sauce to like make them laugh. I mean, this whole thing happened by accident. Yeah. I was making these videos as resume pieces to send to ESPN to try to get a job at ESPN. Those dicks didn't answer me.
So I mean. And I asked this out of my own curiosity, and I'm sure people wonder too, because I even like get the question of like, where's the name Guy Boston Sports come from? And my name it's like, okay, well, I'm a guy, I'm from Boston, and I like sports. It's not the most it's not the most entertaining or crazy story, right? But so you go from obviously calling yourself The Sauce to starting a network, The Sauce Network, and now a full-fledged, obviously, engine and machine in and of itself. Where do you start bringing in cappers, bringing in employees, because now do you have video editors and stuff now, or are you still doing?
Oh yeah, we're 10 strong. I got a 10-person staff now.
And are they're full-time 10?
No. Toast, Andy, and AJ Propever, you know them as, are full-time.
Gotcha.
The rest are part-time.
So where does that happen? Where do you start going, okay, you know what?
So
this
Toast
is
was
now a
first.
network.
So Toast was first, and I was making videos, and Toast would comment. And just in the comments, he would put his favorite trends of the day. Like, I would put up a video taking the Knicks and the Raptors that night in that video, and he'd be like, if you like the Knicks, take the Knicks first half. They're 10-2 in the last 12. I see you're on the Raptors. I would go, instead of the Raptors, maybe take the Cavs team total under or something. Like, he would share his trends every single day, and like always positive. And it's crazy to say always positive. You know him now. He's a psychopath.
I was watching you guys yesterday, and they're like, the comments were like, who peed in Toast cereal? And it was, and he's just like,
he's absolutely out of his mind. But yeah, he used to comment every day consistently. So one time I hit him up and I was like, dude, I can't afford to give you anything, but I'll give you $100 a week. Could you? At the time, I had a Facebook group which has since been deleted.
Yeah.
I was like, can you just manage the Facebook group for me, post daily polls? And he was like, sure. And then we ended up doing away with the Facebook group, but I was already giving him $100 a week, and then like slowly giving him more responsibilities and paying him more. And baseball, he connects well with the audience in baseball.
Yeah, he's great at it.
He's way better at connecting to the audience that time of year than I am. He's a huge asset, especially this time of year.
Yeah.
And Prop Beaver, he was the second. Well, actually, I guess the second technically would have been Jess, the tennis girl, but I went to high school with Jess. So it's not like I met her through I know I went to high school with this girl, Jess, who I knew was a tennis freak. Mm-hmm. She wrote like a tennis blog. So I had told her when I first started this, like, Jess, if I ever need a tennis department, you got the job already. And it doesn't even exist yet, but you got it. Yeah. So I guess technically Jess was the second. But then Prop Beaver, I was a guest on a podcast, and he was an intern there.
Really?
And he was just like helping out, and he came on as a little bit, and I was like, this is a smart kid right here. And then so I asked those guys from the podcast if he was looking for side work, and he came over, and Prop Beaver immediately fell in love with the finding angles, like sports betting, like hit like he was like, this is it, like because he was very good at research.
He hadn't been really sports betting much.
Well,
prior
I mean, I'm
to.
sure he did like casually,
but not.
But like when he found out like what like how to like spot an inflated line and take the sharp side, like you know what, like when it clicks, kind of like I don't.
It's almost that next level evolution. It's like everyone knows like, hey, I like the Knicks. I'm gonna lay the points tonight, but finding that. Even like you're saying about Toast is like, hey, if you like the Knicks tonight, it actually might be better to take the first half because when they come back from a road stand or whatever, home stand, whatever it is, that type of thing, because that is truly the next level thinking when it comes to sports betting. So
he was hooked immediately.
Gotcha. So how long ago was that?
Prop Beaver, this will be our third football season together.
Okay.
Me and Prop Beaver. So I guess he came on right before NFL 22-23, if that math lines up. Yeah, I think so.
So when you're obviously paying these guys at that time, what you'd think would be substantial, right? For I know it seems probably
at the time, Prop Beaver was the only one that I was paying substantially since we've upgraded everybody, but because Prop Beaver helps me edit, Prop Beaver and Andy physically come to this office every day. And work to produce the content. Rather, they're not remote.
Mm-hmm. So were you at that time, even with Toast, the first time you said $100 a week, right? Were you clearing way over $100 a week from the channel so far?
No.
So you're taking a hit. You're almost, I guess,
still doing that now.
Investing to take the chance that this continues to grow and grow and grow.
I'm still doing that years later. I still drive the same Honda Accord I had in 2019.
Really?
Every dollar I make, another person gets hired. Another person gets hired. Man, I'll cash out in 7, 8, 10 years, man. I'm good. I enjoy my life. I love what I do. I don't need to be swimming in cash right now.
Yeah.
Whatever money, if I bring in $250,000 in revenue, I'm spending $150 on that to bring in $500 the next year.
Yeah.
Like my goals are very and also I noticed that. So I took a trip to Vegas last year in April for the NFL draft, and it was the first time I really took a break from work. And I went out to Las Vegas for the NFL draft. I got this like baller suite and MGM signature tower. It was like I did like what I thought like rich, successful people were supposed to do. I spent like an absurd amount of money on this weekend, and it was great. I had a great time. But on the flight home, I remember. Let's see. I'm out about $12,000, and my competitors gained 2 days of uploads on me. Never again.
Yep.
Like on the way home, I was like, not happening again. Yep. So as a whole, my friend was asking me. I was playing in a charity event a couple weeks back with a friend of mine, and he was like, "Dude, like, don't you ever like get stressed out from working so much?" And I was like, "Kev," my friend's name's Kev. I was like, "Kev, what do you do? It's Wednesday night. You put your kid to bed. What are you doing at 11 p.m.?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm watching the basketball game, looking at my bets for tomorrow." And I was like, "Dude, that's work for me." That's so like, you know what I mean? Like that's like you're saying, how do you keep working? But it's like you're doing the same thing. I just happen to do it for a living, so it doesn't feel like work. As if a lot of it is what I would like to do in my free time anyway.
Yeah, I agree, and also like I guess, and as I've told you, and I think my audience should know, I've been now full time for just, a month and a half, or actually 2.5 months. So I'm new to being full time, but I've always, even when I've traveled or obligations, like I have a bunch of weddings this summer to go to, and I'm in these weddings, I can't not. I figure out a way to do these road videos, we call it, and they're abbreviated versions, but it's almost like no days off in a sense. Say that as a Patriots fan, but also in the fact that like the only time I don't record or work per se, right, or am researching would be like if I am on a plane and I can't do like a hey, what's up, guys, here from a plane. You know what I mean? It's if I have to record in the car, like I went through a breakup, a long-term relationship breakup 3 years ago, and I was back in like I had a house and everything, and life kind of was like, oh, this is a little bit different now, right? And I did for probably a year. Would wake up at 5:30, go into my car and do, an NBA video, an MLB video, all from my phone and everything. And it's tough because at first that's like a shock for the audience. It's like, well, I'm used to these videos with the graphics and edits, and now it's just the car. But people still comment today, we got to bring back the car videos. I love those because that like was the unbuttoning the second button, in my opinion, and I felt so much more free to just be me. And I couldn't edit this video. I could, but I was like, screw it, we'll do it like not live, right, but we'll run it and then upload it. And it kind of was freeing, even though it was so much more work, getting everything ready in the morning, going out to a car that I had to move in 2 hours because it was 2-hour parking. Like it was a weird time, but I got through it, and now we're both at a point where we are doing something that we consider we love. And the cool thing to me is that it's a lot of work, but it's almost like a grind, in my opinion, versus work, because not to be cliche, but like you don't really work if you love what you're doing, but it is a grind, whether you're staying up late or getting up early. It's a lot of daily based stuff that we're doing. That video isn't as relevant in 2 days as it is today, in a sense. Right. In terms
I know
of,
exactly what you're saying about what you described with the car.
Yeah.
That's how I felt about the live show, because if you rewind 2 years ago, there was no live show.
Right.
It was all uploads, and I didn't want to do the live show because in a live show, if you watch my uploaded videos, it's very crisp. Every single sentence is perfect. Every single point is laid out exactly how I want you to see it, so you can get the most amount of information in a clear way, quickly, efficiently. Mm-hmm. That's in my videos, and I was like, I don't want to lose that. But then we started doing the live show, and it turns out people like to see your personality. They like to hear us bicker. Like, what I thought was like stupid conversation, me and Proppy were arguing over a bet. People like that. And I was like, oh, shit, there's like a market for this. So it's kind of the same where it's like people want to see, I don't want to say behind the scenes, but they want to see you and your personality. Right.
Exactly.
So I completely relate to that.
And in that same sort of vein, personality versus, percent correct picks. Where do you think, if those were two spectrums, right, or one side of each of the spectrum, where do you think you'd lean towards, or you right in the middle? Because for me, I can answer first to like open it. Like I would rather, and I know everyone I think should say they'd rather, but to me it's like, I know that everyone's gonna have losing days and all that. Like it helps business when you're good at it, or your picks are hitting. But if I had to pick, I would be like 75% entertainment, good quality content, 25% need these picks. Not saying hit it at a 25% rate, but the weighing of importance. Priority, yeah.
Yeah. Completely agree. And I mean, I knew pretty early on that I wanted to separate myself from tout services. And that's not to, if you work for a tout service or run one, I don't mean any, some of my closest friends in the industry do. So I'm not saying anything negative about them. But I think as a whole, that type of business is on the way out as far as in the long term. All right, what's the best way to describe this? All right, so there's one thing that's abundantly true with society. We're all always getting smarter. Mm-hmm. Right now, something that's common sense to the general public right now might not have been common sense 10 years ago, and something that was common sense 10 years ago might not have been common sense 20 years ago. So we as a whole are always getting smarter. There's more information available. Everyone, every age group, we're all getting smarter together as a society. When it comes to sports betting, the more experienced of a sports bettor you become, the more you start to do the math and say, wait a second, if I'm paying X amount of dollars per week or per month for picks, and the best handicappers in the world hit at 57, 58% long term, then even if you have a great season, I'm making $320. Like, they're starting to do the math, and they're like, this just isn't a good investment. And again, I'm not speaking, if you run a tout service, like, you might be a close friend of mine. Cool.
It's just not your, it's not your goal or business model type thing.
At all.
Yeah.
And the more people that become experienced sports bettors, number one, they start to feel comfortable making their own picks. And then number two, they start to do the math of what the margins are on what the profit margins are, and it just doesn't add up. So it also works perfectly for the kind of person I am and what I'm passionate about. I'm passionate about the content.
Yep.
I love, you know what I want to do? And you know what? We should probably try to make this happen because between the two of us, we probably could. I wanted to do a show. I love the argument. I love it where, like, you got Raiders +4, I got Chargers -4, and it's almost like we're in a courtroom objecting, like making cases and see who can win the case with a judge. Like, I love the argument of who can make the most sound argument for their bet. I love that. I'm good at it, and I find it very productive, entertaining content. And I think more people should do that.
I like that. It's almost like a around the horn type of thing.
Kind of, but more like there's only two sides, and it's very clear, like two attorneys and a judge, where it's like Chargers are averaging 121 rushing yards per game in the last 3 weeks, and I'm like, objection, they're averaging 48 carries a game. So that, like, you know what I mean? Like, I think that would be hilarious. And not to mention, I think it's productive because that's how I look at betting. I'm weighing the pros and cons of it, and I literally have a checks and balances, pros and cons list in my head for each side. And at the end, I'm choosing the side that has more pros on it. And I think that it would be a productive way to present the content for people who aren't capable, and I wouldn't say aren't capable, but maybe might not be aware that that's how you're supposed to look at it. If you see a line and you're like 49ers -3, this is easy. Before you place that bet, you might want to find out, do some research of why it's at 3.
Exactly.
I'm not saying you shouldn't place the bet, or that means don't take the 49ers, but at least try to figure out why it's there first.
That's what people don't. I would say more often than not, someone that isn't spending that extra time, that line is there to equalize the playing field and to make, so that line is literally a number. When someone's like, and it happens all the time, we've talked about on your live shows, it's like, this number doesn't make sense and all that, but that might be because we've looked at page number 66 in this book. You know what I mean? From first glance, you can say, yeah, that doesn't make sense, but it probably does like I said, page 2 through 65. Maybe because we spend all day, every day doing this type of stuff, find something that says, okay, actually that -3 should be minus, or should be, +1. And there's this 4-point gap now that I believe where they got it wrong. But I think that, an everyday better. And I think that there's this life, like what we're doing, isn't for everyone. Like, I know my buddies are like, I don't think that I'd want to wake up every day really early and do this, or like sweat out bets. It's like, I like just picking a side and then having a really good time as you watch the game because you picked that. You know what I mean? So when I say most people don't do this, or people don't do this, it's like, if someone's okay with being like, I'm doing it fully for entertainment, then that's everyone's own prerogative. But I do think that, like, what people need to consider when placing, what I would think are smarter sports bets is, what's the other side of the argument? Can you beat your own argument with the other side? Because if you can't, then maybe it ain't the best move. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I always try to fully understand what the reasoning would be for a bet on the other side, and truly explore every avenue. And that's why I think that kind of show not only would be funny to see sports bettors using, like, court jargon.
Yeah.
I think that would just be funny in itself. But, like, to have the content presented like that, countering certain points, trying to establish, will this team be able to run the ball? Will this team be able to stop the run? Using legal terms, I think would be hilarious.
That would be like the witness, strike that from the record. You can't use that now. Like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
You also gave me, I don't know if you want to talk about it in case it ever were to come up or whatever, but the first time we virtually met, I was going on your live show in like the, the pre-room or whatever before we went live. You had an idea of like almost like a reality-esque show.
Yeah.
You can keep
the
that
Cap House.
That's you've already kind of.
Oh, I don't care. I'll share it. The Cap House. No, I've never actually shared this publicly. Just people that. So I wanted to do the Cap House where. All right. So I don't know if you've ever seen on Instagram the Real Bros of Simi Valley. You know what I'm talking about? So shot like that, like a sarcastic reality show with like 6 dudes in a house for the NFL season, like just like talking about their bets all week and competing to see who has the best record against the spread at the end. And like it'll be like someone's like, I'm going to play the Raiders this week, and it cuts to a side cut. He's like, this dude's always playing the Raiders. I'm worried about it. Like sarcastic reality
It's like,
TV.
I would tell
funny.
you, it's like, oh, that's a great bet. Cuts to me being like, what a stupid play. I can't believe I can't believe I just like got him to I just enforced that thing's not hitting. That'd be so great. See these
and also include it's a play on both. One, we would be entertaining and funny.
Yeah.
But two, I like, and you have talked about this a lot, and you do it on your channel. People like to see the process.
Yeah.
When people see get a glimpse of my spreadsheets on the live, they're like, "Whoa, what's that? How do you use it?" So it would also incorporate a lot of that. See what our day-to-day life is throughout the week.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah, I do think that would be like so funny, and that's the I think that's why we get along, especially like in this call it industry, right? It's because that like there's a lot of people, and I'm not taking shots at anyone, but there's like a lack of creativity, and you can apply creativity to almost any job, and if you do apply, and I believe this, if you apply a little bit of creativity to any sort of job, you'd probably be better at that job to some degree, whether you're talking to people or not, or whatnot. Obviously, there's some things like if you were a judge in a legitimate, courtroom, like you're not going to want to be saying funny things or being creative. It's like you kind of got a job to do. But in a space where we're creating videos and producing videos, there's a lot of boringness that is successful, and I think that it's almost like there's still a void. You know what I mean? Like I still see things that I'm doing in my content that I'm like, I could do that better. And I'm just not, I haven't gotten there yet. But even these show ideas that we're talking about would rocket ship. Like people, like I know that type of thing would work. The judge one, or even the cap house. Like I think that would be
hilarious. Yeah. And I think it would not just like hilarious, a comedic thing. I think it would be a genuinely good show.
Yeah.
To see what the process is throughout the week, to see when you lock your bets in as far as when you think the line's going to jump, stuff like that. I think it would be great content. And I also think that one of the biggest voids in the industry is when you see, and I don't want to make it seem like I'm taking shots at anyone because I'm not, and I don't ever do that. You'll never hear me. I hate you see so much, like when it's almost like a Twitter account is a billboard desperately trying to convince everybody that you're winning better. It's like, look, I won. Here, look at this. Look at our winning again. Like, what winning better? Have you ever been to the casino? What winning better talks like that?
Yeah.
It's like, I had a 3-in-1 night. Like, isn't that your job?
Right.
Like,
true.
You don't see, like, look at this carburetor I fixed. I'm a mechanic, guys. Carburetor. Check out this carburetor. Fixed it. Guys, did you see the carburetor? Carburetor. Let me retweet this carburetor.
It's the best carburetor you'll ever see. It's funny.
Yeah, it's like you had a winning night. Like, isn't that your job?
Yeah, and there's so much BS out there too with like fake slips, and there's way to do like the inspect elements. It's so annoying. That's why I like the like everything's free in public. Like you can go back and look at every single bet that I've placed and be like right, wrong. It's like
for the last 3 years you could look at mine too.
So it's like it's so clean, but I don't hang my hat on that either. Like I say all the time in my videos, I'm like, and people are like, give yourself credit. I'm like, I'm lucky to be profitable year over year. Like maybe it's just because I put a lot of time into it, but it's not. If it's almost like I'm waiting for the day I have a really negative season, and still want to see how the audience reacts, or do they still kind of fuck with me and stuff like that. I'm curious. I
can attest. It just happened to me.
Has it?
So I blew up in 2021, 2022 is when I, last year college football, I got crushed. Second half of the season, finished the season down 24 units, 22 units. Got absolutely crushed. Everyone was super cool about it. And then right after that, I went on a heater in the NFL playoffs, so it was forgotten quickly, which really helped.
Yeah.
Man, the way you present yourself, you're genuine with your audience. They will be, maybe your growth will just like stunt a little bit for a couple months, but you know how this is, man. As quick as you get hot, you're gonna get cold, and as quick as you get cold, you're gonna get hot again. And experienced sports bettors aren't looking at any sort of small sample size. Like, this guy lost 2 days in a row. I'm out of here. Yeah. Like, experienced sports bettors know what it is.
Well, and I like to poke fun at too. Like my tweet, I don't know if you saw it or not, but yesterday, like I always post hey, here's my picks for today. But I was like 2-13 of my last 15 MLB bets. Buy my VIP here, and it was a link to my YouTube video, because it's like if you can't laugh at yourself, then like you really can't. I don't even know where to come out. You know what I mean? Like if you can't laugh at yourself when you lose or blame it on like it's
when I get a lot of DMs of people asking to come on the live show, and I'll click on their account, and if I scroll for like a minute and can't find a tweet about a loss, don't even answer.
Yeah.
If someone asks me on the show and I click, the first thing I think is I got crushed last night, I'll respond.
Yeah.
Let me get
Bring
you
them
on because you're probably legit.
Yeah, yeah, and that's the like the great thing. Like people were so, and now people like it, and it's become, you know, what I'd like to think successful, but the brand Fade Me. It's like people are like, why would you, you know, you're doing a sports betting show every day and all this, and I'm like, exactly. I can say something confidently, and then some I call my haters guppies. Like they'll be like, all your picks stunk, and then everyone comments like, did you read his shirt and his hat, like everything, and his background? He's got a like he's telling you to do the opposite of what he's saying while he's telling you what he's doing, as sort of a tongue in cheek.
And it's not like you present yourself just same as me. Never once will you ever hear me be like, I'm really good at this.
Yeah.
Like never will I ever say anything like that. It's like, hey, here's my bets for the day. Here's why I'm taking it.
Yep.
Like,
Exactly.
I'm not even saying you should bet it. I'm just literally just sharing that information.
Exactly. So if we were to just give like obviously you've just added multiple things to the live shows and whatnot, but for the sauce, right? And I say that as either you or your network in a whole. Like, is it just doing more of what you're already doing, or do you have other, like we talked about those show ideas? Like, is there actual things that you want to say, hey, in like a year, I'm not going to ask you what your 5-year plan is because we're not on a, you know, second date here, but the like the level of where this thing goes, is it just continuing and continuing to grow and whatnot, or are there these ventures, specific or not specific, things that you want to almost check off or have involved? Like, I want to start doing more videos where I go to different stadiums and just talk about my thing and talking to people that you know, are like-minded in that sense, and bring that to the channel. I don't know when, maybe next year, something like that. But do you have other sort of avenues planned?
Kind of not really, actually, but it's not because this whole process for me has been very, the next step presented itself when it needed to present itself. Every single thing I've added, it wasn't like, oh, I had been planning to add that for 2 years. It kind of presented myself at the right spot, and then I had just met this right guy to do the coding for it, and everything just kind of, I found that since I got clean from drugs 7.5, 8 years ago, I found that, like, I'm not like a super spiritual guy, but I believe in like karma, and if I work my ass off and don't wrong anybody, things just tend to fall into place, even when they don't feel like they are. I have faith that, like, and it has worked just like that. I didn't even plan on doing a college basketball show this March Madness, but then I met Andy. He came on. He's a college basketball nut. Toast does college basketball. I thought, hey, maybe let's try this. And it was 1,900 concurrent live viewers during March Madness, which was one of the most on YouTube.
Yeah.
Which we weren't even planning on doing that. It kind of just fell together right before, like January, we started it. In March, we had almost 2,000 concurrent viewers. And it was not part of the plan. So everything I'm doing is not really, I don't want to say not planned, but it's kind of I haven't even come close to scratching the surface for, I mean, I put out these upload videos that people really like, where I do a deep handicap on each game. I don't even have the staff to do all the games yet. I would like to do that, where I upload 15 videos for all 15 games.
Really, yeah.
So I think I'm going to add another person come this fall. We should have another full-time staff member that should free up a little bit, because this football season, obviously, during football season, I'm sure you can attest, it's rough, especially when you have people. I have a Discord and people in there that ask me about, I can't have them asking me about Stanford, Washington State and not have an answer. I need to have looked. You know, they pay me to have looked. Right. So it's a lot. It's a lot.
Do you? How does someone say someone's watching this and they're like, holy crap, like I would like to be that staff member? Like, where do you find these? I know you mentioned Toast and obviously Prop Beaver, but Andy, you said that, you know, you met Andy, college basketball, he knows that. Like, how do you come across these people? Or if someone does want to obviously say, like, hey, Kyle, just like you did, send 50 emails a day until someone gives you a chance. Like, where is that? If so someone can reach out to you, right?
Oh yeah, I encourage it. So I just put a post on Indeed for I needed someone to do some coding work. Got like 780 applicants in a
Really?
week or something, and you know who got it? The guy who emailed me twice privately, who went out of his way to go on my website, find my email, and email. That's the guy who got it
Yeah.
because I was like, this guy wants. Now that being said, that guy actually didn't complete the job, so a bad example. But he got the job.
He got the
but
chance.
He got the opportunity.
Got the chance. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool. I
Because-
mean, not to get sappy about it, but talk about like a full circle type of a thing, right? It's like, and not
Right.
even like it's accidentally working out. You probably have a piece of your mind that's like, this is how I got my legit foot in the door of video,
Entertainment and
anything,
media.
and now you're giving someone else that same opportunity. Not if they're coming from where you came from or anything like that, but that is awesome.
Yeah.
In terms of, I guess, just one last thing, I asked, where you think it's going and whatnot. It sounds like you said, things will fall into place if and when they are meant to be. You're obviously going to continue to work and work and work. What would you say out of everything, and you could take this in any direction you want, out of everything from the minute you were clean, right, to now where Kyle is and the sauce in general, what would be the almost proudest moment, but not necessarily proud, like what are you most proud that you have accomplished? Like if you had to, you talked about that plaque, right? If you had to take one plaque and show everyone that every day for the rest of your life and you can't change what the plaque is, what do you think that is?
Okay, so to the first part of the question about the goals, I want to be the best sports betting show in terms of I hate the bullshit that is now attached to the sports industry. I don't care who Kevin Durant follows on Twitter. I don't care if they have a beef off the field. I don't care about any of that. This is a reality TV show. I'm interested in, so I want to be a sports network that focuses on the sport, the data, which is, if you're a sports fan, that should be what it's about. I mean, I don't care about the reality TV stuff. So that's what the goal is, to be known for that. Like, if you actually care about the football game and don't care about who the quarterback dates or, you know what I mean, or any of that, then go here.
Yep.
That's the goal. As far as proudest moment, you know what was actually cool kind of recently? So there's this guy, his name's Finesse the Books, whatever. It's a guy on Twitter. He comes on the show. You might know him, you might not. But he came on the show recently, like 2 months ago, and he was like, he said something. He's like, just want to say this is such a proud moment for me. I've been watching you for years, and you were the reason I wanted to do this. And I was like, oh, shit, like, so I'm that guy now.
Yeah.
Like, I'm the guy that you watched and started doing it. And I thought it was cool of him to say. And it was like a realization. It's like, oh shit! So I'm like the guy people watch and decide, like, oh, I guess I see it flipped around.
Yeah, that is awesome. I mean, I know that I had seen your videos and watched your videos ever before we ever crossed paths, business wise or working together. So I think that's it's if you're in this industry, it's hard to avoid seeing your videos, and definitely the live streams now with the numbers you're pulling and holding too. That's the live audience is so damn cool.
Yeah, I can't even believe it still. But I think it's because there's no BS in it.
Yeah.
It's just guys that were like, we're sitting there talking, going through the slate, talking about our bets. It would be almost the same exact show if we were sitting in the office talking with no cameras. That's how we would go through.
Yep.
We would go game at a time, talk some shit to each other. It would be exactly that.
Yeah.
So it's so authentic because that's exactly how we talk to each other.
Do you ever get the when you're just walking around outside or out to dinner or something, people coming up to you?
No, it happened 2 or 3 times. No, not really. Guy recognized me in the liquor store once. You know what? I did get recognized when I was out in Vegas a couple times because I was literally in MGM, the sports book. If there's one spot I'm going to get recognized, it's there. But I'd say as a whole, I've been recognized like 4 or 5 times.
I bet as you continue to just grow and grow and grow, I think that's going to happen more and more.
I mean,
and more.
I work from home and I work 100 hours a week. So part of it is I don't really go out much.
True. If you just open your front door, all of a sudden there's like
If I
a million
sweat
people.
outside.
You just haven't seen them yet.
Right.
But anyways, man, I do appreciate you coming on, and your story is awesome. I think as this show / podcast comes together more and more, I'd love to have you back on because obviously absolute titan in this YouTube sports betting and just sports betting industry in general. You are. So appreciate you taking the time and obviously having me on your live shows as well. I enjoy the relationship and everything that we're building. So stoked to have you on. Sure. Any last thing, like where can people go to either sign up for your website or find you on? I'll put everything in the description, but where do you want people to find you if they're living under a rock?
Just type in my name anywhere. The live show. That's what I want people to watch, is the live show.
Perfect.
Usually the people that sign up to the website are people that watch my show for a couple months, and then they can see, like, oh, these guys are very open about when they lose. And then, so just watch the live show, and you'll get to know us.
Sweet. Yeah, I'll put all that. I mean, you guys, I'm assuming 100% of you guys should know Kyle already. But if you don't, his information will be in the description. And yeah, man, I appreciate you coming on. It's a good talk. Some sure, great stuff that I think a lot of people are going to be like, what? That's in his background. But
yeah, it's crazy.
Appreciate you.